Oh, bed. Well, instead of coffee with Chris and Merlin, we've got Pepsi Max with Chris and Merlin in the Highlands. Now, I've apparently got noise cancelling on the microphone, so in theory, you should be able to hear this perfectly fine without too much of the wind noise. As you can see, it's a little bit windy. It's also very sunny. I've got a 6-stop ND filter on the video camera, but compared to trying to light indoors, this is preferable. So I'm nearing the end of my week in the Highlands now, and the Vanguard Ultra Pro tripod has been a really good buy. I mentioned that in the last podcast, and it turned up and it's been excellent. On here now you've got the Z6 with the 500mm mirror lens, which has actually been, I've used this quite a lot this trip. I've mostly used the 24-70 and the 500, and I've not used the 70-200 that much. I've actually struggled with a bit of bird photography. I was hoping yesterday I went up to Dunnet Head, which is literally, it's just 2 miles down the road over there, and I was hoping to get more pictures of birds, and I got a few. There'll be some videos coming out, hopefully, if I can get the energy to put it all together and release it. I guess what we'll do is I'll give a preview of some images I've taken over the last week and some of my thoughts on this area of the Highlands. I've been to a few of them. I might do a tier list on areas of northern Scotland at some point. But there's some thoughts about some of the kit that I've had. First, I'm going to release a video on comparing a tripod, which this camera right now, which we're recording on, is on my old newer 77-inch tripod. It's pretty flimsy. It might even shake a bit. The image stabilization might be able to get rid of most of it. This Vanguard Ultra Pro, so much better in so many ways. So that kit's been good. My bag, I have a Caithness concept bag. In any of the areas, I can't fit this camera like this. Yeah, so the Z6 with Tamron, now I can obviously take this hood off, and it can just about fit in some of the compartments. I've had to put it in the top bit, which is not as cushioned. The bag I got was with the intention of maybe using it as a semi-work bag, put my work laptop in. I need a better hiking rucksack with more space for configuring and customizing the different sections. Not to be a Vanguard shill, but I have seen that Vanguard have got some good camera bags, so I might look into those. Courtney Victoria, another, she's a YouTube camera person, does a lot of macro and stuff. She has Vanguard bags. She is sponsored by them. Obviously she's going to say they're great if you're sponsored, typically, I would imagine, so I might look into those. In terms of I recently mentioned when I got the Z6 III, which is what we're recording on today, I bought an extra F to Z adapter, F to Z, whatever, and here's the original one. I'll put an image on screen. It's going to be too far away, you can't really see it from there. The original F to Z had this really annoying little hump on the bottom, which is fine. Like in this instance, I've got a Arca Swiss adapter here, and this L bracket is also Arca Swiss, so I don't need this anyway, and it isn't in the way here. But I only realised after I went up to Dunnet Head, and I had the 70-200 on my Z6 III on my capture clip here, and it wouldn't seat properly, and I realised afterwards, of course, with the capture clip, this gets in the way and it won't go into the capture clip properly. So there is a good reason to buy the new version of the F to Z adapter, so I can use lenses with the capture clip. So it was a bit faffy changing them over on the fly, swapping all the different things out, but yeah, it's a really horrible, awkward little adapter right there. I have come away from this trip really wanting an actual proper wildlife lens though. So 500mm is a decent amount of reach. It's really difficult. So at Dunnet Head, you have all these swooping birds, and they're flying all around the cliff face. And I'd set myself up a cliff, not quite at the edge, and I'd focused at what I thought was, I could see the back wall, I could see the ground in front of me. So I set my focus in between, and there was birds passing. And I managed to get a couple of shots. But then there was other problems as well, where there's one singular image which my wife saw when we were skimming through the things afterwards. I didn't even spot it, partially because of the cold blinds, I think, but she noticed that one of the birds had an orange beak, and it was a puffin. It's a blurry puffin, and I'll throw the image on screen now. When you zoom right in, you can see a blurry puffin. And at the time, it was really hard to tell. So I've had the 500mm on the original Z6, and the EVF is nicer in the Z6 III. It's so much nicer. The focus peaking is also so much better on the Z6 III. I probably should have had the manual focus lens on the Z6 III really, but what I was hoping for was to use the autofocus with the 70-200 and try and capture some stuff, but I was just too far away to get any good images with the 200mm. So it's made me want maybe the 180-600, maybe try and get it used, or I don't know. I wouldn't want to buy it on eBay. I've had a lot of bad experiences on eBay. A lot of lenses I've bought on eBay have come damaged. It's a real faff. I could use one of the reputable sites to buy it from, but so what about this area of Scotland then? So I've been to a few places before. I usually go up either towards Ullapool, which is like in fact there's a sign here that says how far away, it's like 100 miles, or Skye is like 100 miles away. That side of Scotland, hilly, mountainous, rugged. You can get some great landscape type scenery in there. It's almost cheating. You just put the camera down and you just get amazing views. Here is very different. It's very flat in places, but there's a lot more hidden little gems around the coastline. So there's a piece of rock sticking out of the sea just over there. I guess you could call it a stag. We saw that in the first night. The light was perfect when we were driving up here, but I was told by the wife we had to get here and in before I got taking pictures, and obviously by the time I got the car here and settled down, the light was gone. And it actually, I did go back there, but I didn't get anywhere near as good light. Also, the tide was different. The tide was like perfect. Anyway, what's done is done. So there's places like that. You can go down to, obviously there's Dunnet Head just over there, which is where the birds are, and the cliff faces there. RSPB sanctuary though. There's Dunkinsby Stacks as well. There's a lighthouse all the way over the other side of here. It's like half an hour drive. So within half an hour you can drive across this whole area of Caithness or whatever it's called. And also down that, there's a couple more stacks down that coastline. And there's a few different little hidden gems I'm thinking about where to go tomorrow, my last day. It's called like the Prisoner's Leap or something. It's like a hidden little gorge, like canyon valley type thing with a river and a cliff face. And there's a couple of the reviews actually said that people couldn't find it. They would just walk around. All they could do was find bridges, but they couldn't find their way down to the view. So, but compared to somewhere like the West Highland Peninsulas or Ullapool or Skye, it's a little bit different out here. There also seems to be a lot less places to eat, especially places that like this guy. So we've found a couple of hotels that like dog friendly stuff. So we've gone and had burgers at, I think it's the Seaview Hotel at Groats. He got himself a sausage there, it was pretty good. We just went to, and it was a farm shop. It was incredible. And we'll never know what it was called because I can't see it in my recent list. Pulldagon Farm. P-U-L-D-A-G-O-N Farm. Amazing food. Great little farm shop. He jumped all over too many people. I probably shouldn't have let him do that. They allowed dogs. That was excellent. So it's quite relaxing up here. You can probably just about see in the background. There's the Orkneys just over there. We looked into getting the car on a ferry for a day. That's what we're potentially going to do today. But it's something like 50 to 70 quid there and back in the car. Then you have to pay per person as well. So it ends up working about £200 all in. And there's a place that I'm going to put up on screen that I was joking to go. My sister wanted to go get me to take a picture next to this road sign. The wife didn't think that it was worth 200 quid to go and get a funny picture. And there's a few things you can do on the Orkneys, but we decided against it in the end. I've also been slightly unlucky as well with astrophotography. I'm going to hopefully release a video on that. I put these two cameras and the phone up against each other. Once they've been through Lightroom actually, the phone came out surprisingly well. So that video will be coming soon on the channel with a bit of luck. Just a fun little short video about that. I just got slightly lucky with the timing that I don't really have the gear to be taking sort of like deep sky astrophotography, so it's more like astro landscape or just wide field of view sky photography with it. And the galactic core, it was across the sky just behind me here, but the galactic core was over that horizon, so you just had the sort of like tail end of it, and it was really low in the sky, and there's quite a lot of haze over on coming from Orkney. Now I'm assuming it was light pollution and not some form of faint aurora. It was a surprising amount of light pollution, I have to say, all the way over in that, right in that distance. But it wasn't in basically where the islands are. Really surprising, because most of the time when you're up here in the Highlands and you get a night sky, it is completely, almost completely black. Whereas I guess this as well, the moon was just over there and it was a third of a crescent. It was a little bit bright. I did get a new shot of the moon though. I'll show that now. I recently talked about sending the Nikon cameras, and I showed some of my previous pictures. This is the best one yet that was taken with this here. Now, being on this tripod helped significantly, because obviously I didn't have it up like this. I had this more sort of down with the legs up, significantly sturdier, and with 5 seconds it was enough time to sort of settle down. So if I had to rate places, I've been to Strathcarron, and Strathcarron had less to do than here. It had some interesting roads around it. So Strathcarron is lower on the list for me, personally. It is nearer Skye though. It's kind of in between Skye and Ullapool. I'd rather go and stay around Ullapool or on Skye though, if I had the option not in between. So then after that, it's really hard. There's a place over near Inverness that we stayed. That probably comes after Strathcarron. The house we rented was incredible, but there was a lot of light pollution from Inverness, and also there's a massive train station which had floodlights on all night, which when you want to take a picture of the night sky is not helpful. And again, you had to drive out quite a way before you could do anything there. Then I'd say probably here maybe comes after that, although I think there's probably ties with near Inverness. Although in Inverness you can go on the cruise on the loch and go looking for the Loch Ness Monster, so there is that. So then that leaves the two other places we've gone, the West Highland Peninsulas and Ullapool. I think West Highland Peninsula is next. That it is very remote. Where we stayed, you had to take a little ferry across, but there was actually a couple of pubs you can eat with your dog, and in terms of photography, there was so much more. There was an animal hide with seals. Now, I didn't have this lens back then. If I did, because I only had 200mm, and it was nowhere near enough to sort of zoom in and get that stuff. So I'd say West Highland Peninsulas comes next, and then top of the list has to be Ullapool for me. There's a little bit of it because I went there on my honeymoon, partially because the place we stayed there was on the side of a loch. It was incredible. Ullapool itself has got some great food. There's the Bothy Cafe, which is excellent. There's a couple of hotels which let dogs in, and their food was great. The missus did eat Longstein's head and all, and she was like pulling the heads off. She plucked them down, the heads stared right at me. And I don't mind a bit, I'm not too squeamish, but that was just a little bit, that was a little bit too much. But Ullapool has a lot of scenery really nearby. A lot of places you can go with a camera as well. Yeah, I think if you go there at a time of year when you can take the ferries out, you can take them to different islands out there as well. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. And if you really wanted to, you might be able to get down to Skye from Ullapool in a day, but there's plenty of coastal places you can go out and investigate. All right, and just to wrap this up, because I'm going to jump in the hot tub after this. If I had to choose the favourite image that I've taken the whole time I've been here, hopefully I'll have the time to put together any energy to put together a video on these. There's one here of the Dunkinsby Stacks, so just for my reference for video editing purposes, DSC 1173. I hiked out to the Dunkinsby Stacks and the wind was atrocious. Maybe I'll put a little clip overlay on this just showing how bad the wind was. I also forgot my Pocket 3 and I had used my phone to record. That was a bit dreadful. And I also got really unlucky with the light as well. It was really harsh, the separation between sort of like the shade and sunlight coming in. And here I've got a little bit of like golden light on the top of the cliffs, and then there's just enough movement in the sea, but some of it is blown out. This is a multi-second exposure. It's a 1 second exposure actually, this one. And then there's just it managed to get just a nice bit of a fade on the kind of golden light on the stack there. Just one of them. If I choose my second favourite at the moment, it's hard to do. There we go. We'll just choose this one here, which is DSC 1224, which is good old Merlin here staring out to sea. That's Dunnet Head there, the main bit of the land in the distance. I have better images than that, but that's just a sentimental one for the moment. The rest of them, I'll put them into videos in the near future. We have got to get this all packed away so I can jump in the hot tub, you can beg for treats while I'm in the hot tub, and then we can figure out what I'm going to do for the last day up here. Maybe it's the Prisoner's Leap, maybe I just go down the coast and have a look. Time will tell. Maybe we'll find out in a future video. Well, thanks for watching another episode of the Pepsi Max with Chris and Merlin. Tune in next time for something a bit different than this. Cheers.